So once again, there were the tenets of Zero Trust. All data sources and computing services are considered resources. So everything that's out there, any computing services, any data sources you got, those are going to be different resources. We need to understand which resources are the most important to us. So we're going to have to be able to evaluate that as well. All communication is secured regardless of network location. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to encrypt the data flow that goes between those two. A lot of times we could use like TLS to do this with transport layer security with using certificates and then creating what's called a session key that will then be able to encrypt the traffic flow as necessary. So access to individual enterprise resources granted on a per session basis. Like I said, the idea is that you dissolve away the perimeter, that typical firewall that we've always, makes us feel safe and is kind of a nice comfy blanket on us. We're going to get rid of it. It doesn't need to be there, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the stand that everything, is in a DMZ, if you will. So this would be one of the things that we can actually do with this. Maybe it's cloud resources or something like that. Now, obviously, that's not really going to happen in reality. And that's one of the things we're going to look at in here is that, you have a hybrid migration path where you still have certain firewalls, but they're just going to take less of a stand in the environment itself. So they're not going to be the level that we've always had them at. So what we'll be able to do is be able to look at that and say, you know what, anytime anybody wants to get to a particular resource, we're going to look at who that is that's trying to get to that resource on that particular session. Access to resources determined by dynamic policy, including observable state of the client identity, application service, and the requesting access. So what we want to do is we want to bring in a lot of this information, be able to understand whether or not those individuals who need access to those different things should actually get it. The enterprise monitors, measures the integrity, security posture of all own assets, being able to make sure that you have the right patches, right antivirus, anti-malware software, those type of things on your system. We will strictly enforce all authentication authorization. So we'll actually make sure that every time that you try to touch something, we know who it is. Now, once again, that doesn't mean that somebody's going to have to log in a gazillion friggin' times. We can do this with single sign-on and using some techniques like that to where we can actually use SAML, security assertion markup language. That's a single sign-on technique that we can actually use to make sure that once they have logged on and validated themselves with the main system, that they can get the access to the different resources. So, and then additionally, once again, we want to collect as much information as we can. The tenets of the ZTA, which is the Zero Trust architecture, the entire enterprise private network is not considered an implicit trust zone. Once again, we have no trust zones. Everybody is considered to be an attacker. Everybody has the capabilities of attacking the system, and therefore we have to look at them that way. A good example of that would be somebody attacking, from internal, example being like an administrator that gets access to certain resources that they shouldn't have, and then being able to publish those out on the news networks, which then gives our intelligence community a black eye when they do that. And then you get your Russian citizenship just when they can strip you into a war or something. Anyway, but so nobody is considered to be in a secure part. Devices on the network may not be owned or configurable by the enterprise. Once again, cloud resources, things like that. So, we're going to take the idea that maybe we don't own everything. Therefore, we can't necessarily control that resource necessarily. Maybe it's a partner resource or something like that. No resource is inherited trusted. We don't trust the resources as well as we don't trust the people trying to access the resources. So it is a kind of, like I said, it's a new concept, a new way of looking at these different things. So remote enterprise subjects and assets cannot fully trust their local network connections, and assets and workflows will move around.